Hello, my friends. I'm so glad you are here with me today. What I would like to talk about is an experience that I had that I feel was very unique and helpful. During my relationship with Papa God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, I feel that I have been taught you definitely do not judge other people. We do not know what their life is like. We don't know what they have experienced. There can be no judgment from God's children about His other children. That is just something God does not like. Also, I had unique experiences when I worked with the homeless, to the point that I am more comfortable with certain things than maybe other people might be. Well, there was one day, there is this sub shop that they had closed down all of our Neptune subs. They had closed them all down but one. And it was across town on the north side, and I live very south. And so about once a month, I try to get my husband to go with me, and we go and eat a sub there. And so this was a day we were going to Neptune's. And as we pulled in to park, there was a young man, and he was pacing very fast outside the shop, up and down. And my spirit immediately connected with him, thinking I either knew him, I needed to help him. There was something going on with this young man. So we went in and we ordered and we sat down, and we happened to sit down at a booth right next to where this young man, I thought, was waiting for someone. He was pacing back and forth outside. Well, after a few minutes, this young man came into the restaurant, and he was yelling. He was yelling about political things. And everybody in the restaurant noticed him. He didn't have shoes on. He did have a backpack, and he was carrying some shoes. And so he went across from the restaurant from us on the west side, and he sat down. Well, you have to order on the east side. So I am watching him, and I do conclude that he is probably a homeless young man. Well, I heard him go up and ask one of the cashiers if he could get a free sandwich. And she told him to sit down. She would send the owner/manager out to talk to him. And so he still started ranting a little about political stuff. And after the woman talked to him, he decided to come across the restaurant and sit by our booth. So he sat down by our booth, and after ranting a little bit more about politics, he started saying, I know he won't, meaning he knows that the manager will not give him a free sandwich. So about then, the manager came out, and he went over and he talked to him. And he told him he couldn't give him a free sandwich. So the young man asked if he could work for one. And the manager told him that he had all the workers that he needed that day, but that he could fill out an application, and when he needed someone, he would call him. And he said, sir, I don't have a phone. I'm hungry. I can't afford a phone. And so the manager was getting upset. He didn't know what to do. So I get up and which, like I said, was just the booth next to us. So I get up and I go over, and I had taken a $20 bill. And I looked at him, and as soon as I got there, the manager left as fast as he could. He was very uncomfortable with what was happening. And so I talked to the young man, and I asked him if he was hungry. And he said yes. And I said, well, what kind of sandwich do you like? I like the tuna here. He goes, oh, I like tuna. I said, well, do you like wheat bread or white bread? He said, well, he liked wheat bread, but he knew, he liked white bread, but he knew wheat bread was better for him. And I handed him the $20, and I told him, I said, you get yourself a sandwich, and you go ahead and get white bread. If that's what you like, you get white bread. And he almost started to cry, and he told me, he said, you don't know how bad my life has been. You don't know how bad. And I told him, I said, it's going to be okay. I said, you just get in line. You be sure and ask them for a whole sub, tuna sub on white, and you enjoy that. And things are going to get better. He was so grateful. It was like he just wanted someone to care. It's like, I represent a mother and grandmother figure to most people. And it was like he was just so grateful that I even cared enough to give him some money. And so I got through talking with the young man, and I stood up to go to my booth, and I looked at the people, and everyone in that restaurant was staring at me. And God said, look at them. And it's not like he pointed, but that's what it felt like. One man that had a suit and tie on, and he said he was a businessman that was very greedy. And he showed me some blue-collar workers, and then he showed me a teacher. And the teacher was standing at the door with her open mouth gapping, staring at me, and I almost could read her thoughts by, how can you do this? How can you do this? Well, she didn't know I had worked with drug-addicted people. I had worked with homeless people. And by the way, this young man was very high. And so God said, we are all one. All of God's children are one. And it doesn't matter. And I go, what do you mean it doesn't matter? He said, you're one with everyone, including the businessman that's greedy. You're one with everyone. And I had this glorious feeling of being one with all people. I mean, it was magnificent. I wished I could have kept that feeling forever. But as I'll tell you, it lasted 15 to 20 minutes until we finished our sandwiches and left. And when we left, the young man was in line, and I went up to him and told him, be sure and order this. And I repeated it. And he said, okay, I will. And my husband and I left, and we got in the car. Well, on the way home, the feeling left, and I started yelling at the other drivers. My humanness just hit me back, and I definitely became human again and didn't have that beautiful oneness. And later on, I talked to God about this experience. And I said, God, what do you mean it didn't matter? It doesn't matter that one man was a businessman greedy. And he said, it matters to me, but it shouldn't matter to you. You are one with everyone. You're to reach out and help everyone I assign you to. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic level they're on. It doesn't matter what type of career. All that matters are they are people and you are one with them. I want you to know this lesson was wonderful, but it's still hard for me. I have prejudices, and I have prejudices toward the rich. I have prejudices toward policemen, car salesmen, and attorneys. And the reason I have prejudice against policemen is I live in Moore, Oklahoma, and I have seen them treat African American young men very, very poorly. And I'm not saying every policeman does it or that every policeman is bad. I'm just saying I have some prejudices I haven't been able to get over because of some of these experiences. I've hoped you have enjoyed this experience I'm sharing with you. And I want you to know I am so very, very glad for you to come and listen to me as I rattle on. And I always forget to tell everybody, please subscribe, like, and something else. I think there's 3 things I'm supposed to ask you to do. Subscribe, like, and hopefully come back for my next video. I wish you a beautiful day. Thank you.